Aloha and good afternoon. Welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they are working to support the needs of Maui's community. We're sponsored by Pacific Source, Maui's best source for building materials with a cabinet and appliance showroom open to the public in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Interim Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and President of the Maui Nonprofit Directors. I'm happy to introduce my co-host today. She's new to the co-hosting business. She was on the other side of the desk not too long ago, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll all know her. Kaimana Bremmel with Hawaiian Canoe Club.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing great.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah. During this hour, we will be sharing the experience of how nonprofit community leaders and their agencies work to benefit our beautiful island home with their stories of how their agencies are changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope. So I'm really happy today to introduce our two guests. We have Lori Teragawachi, who is the director of Ka'ipu Kukui Fellowship Program, and we have Monica George, director of operations for the Hawaii Islands Land Trust. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, glad to have you with us.
Great to be here.
We're happy to be here, yes.
This is cool. Now, just to kind of set the stage, tell us a little bit about the Ka'ipu Kukui. Why do I have trouble with that? I don't know.
It's the Crucible of Light. So you'll notice that they're not executive directors, but they are a group of people who care about Maui's community. And we'll have Lori kind of give us the 30-second spiel on Ka'ipu Kukui and introduce it for our listeners.
Okay, the Ka'ipu Kukui Fellows Program is a program designed to help develop future leaders of Maui County. It was an idea that started back in the 1980s with Decisions Maui, and the ideas that Decision Maui had with regards to creating a program to develop leaders was also reinforced by the Focus Maui Nui visioning process that occurred in 2003. So both groups decided that we needed to come up with a program to help develop future leaders of Maui, because as they looked around the table, they saw that a lot of them were aging or getting a lot older. And so they thought, well, we really need to start thinking about developing future leaders, and how do we best go about doing that? And so they got together and they came up with some ideas and brainstormed some ideas with regards to what the program should have, the content of the program, and developed the curriculum that way. And we're going to be on our 6th year. So the program has been in progress for the last 5 years.
That's a good word. I like that. Progress.
It gets better every year. It changes, evolves.
Yeah. Does it kind of change and evolve with whoever the participants are? Their backgrounds or where they're headed, or?
Well, we have a set curriculum, but every year, after every session, we meet monthly. For 10 months, we meet 2 to 3 times every month, and we have an evaluation of the session at the end of the 2 to 3 days, and the fellows always come up with better ideas or better ways to do it the next time around. So every year, it just gets better and better.
Oh, so somebody from this upcoming class could go back and talk story with somebody from the first class and go, wait a minute, is that the same program?
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha. Absolutely. That's good. Yeah. That's great, because that's what it's all about, is evolving in the leadership.
And Monica here is part of the class that just recently graduated.
Yes, I am.
Do you want to tell us about your experience with Ka'ipu Kukui?
Yes, absolutely. Ka'ipu Kukui, it was funny when I was preparing for this. I think one of the best ways to describe it was just, it really was kind of a life-changing event for me. And the words that kept on coming to mind for me were empowerment and balance. For some reason, those two just kept on coming back. But, I think when I started Ka'ipu Kukui, I was really excited about the opportunity to be part of a group of people who were so passionate about Maui, and especially as diverse as the group is. I was so excited when I met everybody to see come together with people from so many different backgrounds, and then have experiences with them, and really unique experiences that I wouldn't have had I not been part of the program. Just for instance, the first Halavai we went out on was at the wind farm, and going up to Kaha'eva and experiencing that. You always drive past and you see the wind turbines and whatnot, but actually being there and experiencing it, and actually seeing how everyone kind of connected from their different backgrounds was really interesting. Coming from land conservation, more conservation easements are talking about farming alternative energy, and it's written into the easements. And so to kind of see the alternative energy into play was really eye-opening for me from a professional point of view, but also from a personal point of view, thinking about the sustainability of Maui. So each Halavai offered that in a different way. So it was an amazing opportunity.
So in the program, you get to go to places that the rest of us don't get to go to.
Yes, we do.
One-on-one, right out there in the middle of the wind farm, or on the slopes of West Maui Mountains. Yeah, that's cool. And you kind of all, I guess I can see that as a kind of a neat way to start, because that's something everybody has in common. Energy.
Well, I will add to the, to kind of plug the program. I was in the program in 2010, 2011, and having grown up here on Maui, I felt like I had a pretty good idea of kind of the players and the things that were going on. And so everywhere we went, or every itinerary, I said, well, I know that person, or I know that person, or I think I know about this. And then you get to the program, or you get to the Halavai, and the access and the time that you get with the people, and how they so very much respect who the group is. It was interesting for me having grown up here. In the eyes of a lot of these people, I was, my parents' child, or a kid, or their kid's friend, and now I was able to relate to them as an adult, or even having been identified as a future leader. My relationship with them evolved. It took another step, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity had it not been for Ka'ipukukui and the access that you get, like you said, going up to the wind farm or other different places, the wastewater treatment plant. My favorite example is the telescopes up on Haleakala. I am not interested in astronomy whatsoever. I would fall asleep to it. I much more feel like we should care about our own Earth, so this spatial thing really goes beyond me. But I so very much appreciated the fact that we got to walk in and see and touch, all of these places that were classified, and so that was really neat, even for someone who didn't really have an interest. It spurred my interest, and I feel like now when I do talk about those things, I have a little bit more authority because I've been there. And that wouldn't have happened without Ka'ipukukui. So
you kind of perk up when somebody talks about an astronomical event or something.
Right, or the Pan-STARRS program. And I can speak a little bit more articulately about those things because I had that experience. I mean, we got to walk within the supercomputer. And literally touch it. And not a lot of people get to do that. Why they trusted us, I don't know. But probably has something to do with Lori.
I was going to say, they had Dr. Lori's word that you'd be...
She's a trustworthy person.
Their hands are clean.
So if there are people out there, Lori, I know Monica and I have both been part of the program, but why don't you let us know if there are other people listening, how they could become a fellow in the future?
Well, currently we're recruiting for this coming year's program. The deadline for applications is July 16th, which is coming up real soon. You can find our application on ka'ipukukui.org. You also have a couple of videos on that website, along with all the 59 fellows that have participated in the program, so you can kind of see who's who and find our application there and take a look at the videos that they've created. They really did a good job with capturing the essence, pretty much the essence of the program. So please turn your applications in. They're due on the 16th of this month, no later than 3 p.m. at the college. We're taking or you can mail them in, or you can fax them in. All that information is on the application.
So is there an age limit?
It's a wide range. It goes from like 24 to 53, somewhere around there. And we have made exceptions to that.
And emerging, try saying that fast. Emerging leaders come in all shapes and sizes and ages.
Absolutely.
And from all kinds of backgrounds.
You're absolutely correct.
That's terrific. So there's you don't have to have a certain level of education, or do you?
No,
You don't have to have a certain level of workmanship or titles in your company?
no. You need to just care about Maui's future, and be committed to being on the island for a while.
Okay.
And we haven't even defined for a while, but at least for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Cool. And so what sparked, Monica, what sparked your interest in it? What did you think you were going to get out of it?
Well, I had heard about the program for a couple of years, and then Dale Bonar, our executive director, sent on the information to me. And I think it's interesting you talk about qualifications, because I was a little bit fearful that I wouldn't have, what it took to be a fellow. And I thought, I can't apply for that. I'm not ready. I haven't, But it was a really great process to go through. I started looking into the program, and you do look on the website. You get excited about how many people you actually know or you've networked with in some shape or form. So going through the process of applying was really neat. There's a couple of essay questions, and it was great to, kind of really think about what was important to you in Maui's future. I have 2 small children, and obviously that played a big role in why I wanted to be part of the program too, because thinking about planning for the community that they're going to grow up in means a lot to me. So, thinking about future generations was important to me as well. So Dale inspired me to apply, and I did, and he wrote me a wonderful letter of recommendation that made me blush. And but and I was so excited to be accepted when I got the phone call. So that's kind of how it all started.
And the first Halavai, it's kind of like the first day of school,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Do I know that person? Oh, is he going to be the I don't know, I might relate to that one, or I don't really know that person, or I don't like that person. But by the end, you're so bonded by the experiences, and you go through work style assessments, and Franklin Covey, there's investments in you too as a person professionally. It's not only the experiences, and the Halavais and the external kind of field trip type things are one thing, but it's also just sitting around and talking, and whether you're arguing or debating or finding common ground, or imparting what you know about a certain topic to someone else, that's also extremely valuable in this program too.
So there's some classroom time, some field trip.
It's like summer camp, but for 10 months.
It's very
And
experiential.
2 to 3 days for 10 months.
Each month, yeah.
Wow,
And it's
that-
very experiential. You're not sitting at a desk in a classroom watching or listening to a talking head. You're out there, you're getting involved, you're getting engaged. We have field trips. We do have some classroom time, but during that time, they're role playing, they're having discussions, they're doing activities, they're playing roles as county council members, making decisions.
Oh, I bet
They
that's
have-
interesting.
It is. It always is. It's always interesting. Each year there's a different topic. So, yeah, it's very entertaining.
Is it? As the leader of the group, you can say that. Yeah, it's very nicely put. So I think the thing that I like about this is that the titles disappear. You're just a group of people who care about Maui and who want to see the future be the best it can be for the people who live here, as well as protecting the Aina.
Yeah, and you do that through the different topics. There's water, tourism, governance. There's a field trip to Oahu where you were able to meet with our Hawaii delegation in the Senate and in the House, maybe even the governor if he or she's in town at that time. And getting access to them, I think, for a group is very, very valuable. And having an audience with them, and whether you pull them aside for a second and introduce yourself, or if you have something that's dear to your heart, I think that's a really neat opportunity for people.
They also spend a day at the county council.
Oh, cool. Now, is this sponsored by some organization or?
There's a tuition
Oh, okay.
for participation. It's $1,300 for the whole year, and we do have some financial aid available.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a break and listen to some words of wisdom from Pacific Source.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
Hello again. You're listening to Maui Nonprofit Notes, where we're talking story with a couple of folks and the Ka'ipu Kukui. How about that?
Yeah.
Came right out. Program about their experiences, and Dr. Laura Teragawachi.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've only how many classes have I had from you, and I still can't get your name right.
It's a tough one.
It's Dr. Lori. Come on.
Dr. Lori's fine.
Yeah.
Lori's fine.
Lori's fine. That's right. That's what I like about you. Again, we're talking about titles. At some point, titles don't matter. It's what you have to say, how you feel, and where you're going with this. And one of the things that you've kind of started to talk about is all the different people that you meet and get to know. And 3 days every month for 10 months, you do kind of get to really know them, and not in their positions at work or church or home or whatever, but their positions in the community and with other folks, like-minded folks, if you will. Mm-hmm. So how does that work after class, to speak of?
Well, we just graduated, so it's been really interesting to keep in touch with all the fellows, and you do in different ways, whether it's professionally or personally or whatnot. But I think in those 10 months, it really does, you get to know everyone on such a deeper level, and it is an intimate experience. I think we talked a little bit about the management profiles. I think that Halavai really jumps out at me because it was a time in the beginning where all of us kind of put ourselves out there and learned a lot about each other. You're either more of a relationship-based person or more of a fact-based person, and I felt like at that Halavai we began to understand each other and how we operated in a different way, and it brought us all so much closer. So then each experience after that, we would kind of laugh at somebody and say, oh well, you're an I, or you're so we can accept that your view's different, or you might have a different reaction to that. And,
okay, now you got to explain that. You're an I.
That was when I was talking about relationship based people versus maybe more of a fact based person.
Right. I'm a D, so
You're a D.
I'm a D, and so I tend to be more fact-based and maybe have a little structure. And in my group, we had a lot of S's, and they were very much about relationships and making sure people felt included and liked hugs. And I didn't really like hugs, but I appreciated that they liked hugs, and I let them have their, and so it was just. It made so much more sense when people started to talk and how they looked at a certain topic, that you might be looking at the same topic, but different things jump out at you, different things are important to you, and it all has to do with how you relate to the world around you, which can sometimes be explained through these systems and sometimes not. So
it opens your eyes to the thought process that other people go through.
Yeah.
And most of that is based on our history and education and experiences, etc. So we've got D's and I's and S's.
And the C.
C.
Did you have any C's?
We did. Yeah, we did. And
So what's a C?
They're very compliance oriented. They like structure. They don't like change very much. They like to be right, but before they make a decision, they need to get all the facts, so they do a lot of research.
Yeah.
They're the ones we're always waiting on.
But they're the ones that come out. We would turn to them if we needed to be organized. So,
There you go.
That was very helpful to know, hey, you're a C. That's a great project for you.
Yeah.
And we did that because of your research. So you're here right here with us. Okay.
And they're compliant. They drive D's crazy.
Yes.
Because D's are decision oriented. They're quick on making their decision. They're like, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's do it. Let's do it now. In fact, we should have done it yesterday.
Yeah.
Very visionary.
The D's often look at Lori and want Lori to stick exactly to the agenda that she emailed out, and we get uncomfortable if we are late or if we deviate from the agenda as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So
That helps me even with you, Kaimana. I'm going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're a D.
I am a D. So, yeah.
versus an I, an I would be very relationship based, and so they love talking, they love gathering, they love doing social things, they love to party, they love to socialize. Time is not a factor for them. They're oftentimes they don't care if we go beyond a certain time limit on the agenda.
I'm kind of excited if it gets mixed up a little bit. So that's the difference.
Yeah. They
We
love
learn that.
parties. Yeah.
And each group, depending on, in my group, for example, there was lots of S's, but here in the year before me, there was lots of I's. And so now that we're out of the program and we're alum, if you will, we have a responsibility to the program to make sure it carries on, that we get applicants, and that's why Monica and I are here kind of plugging the program, because we want people to apply, we want people to be part of this program, and we feel that responsibility. So the I's are always trying to organize the meetups and the meet the past fellows or meet Lori, and maybe I'm just kind of like, well, here's the information and just apply, just do it. That's all you have to do. Just decide and just do it. And I think,
I bet this gets interesting.
yeah, you should take the assessment.
Can I just take? Yeah, could I just take the assessment?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I've taken assessments with you at one class or another, and I was surprised at what I came out with. Yeah.
Looking at that mirror, looking at the mirror and looking at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you do it in a group, it was kind of a rawness of all just us exposing ourselves on a kind of a new level, So it was really fun, and it helped build those deeper bonds, and we were able to network with each other in a kind of a new way, I think, and it helped me outside of even the fellowship itself. When I'm at work now, I'm thinking, how can, if I'm having communication issues, how I could better move forward in the situation.
Gotcha. So now you're talking about alum activities. Are there some of those each year where everybody's invited to come back, and do you do projects or just get together socially, or how far does that go?
We have gotten together socially, and we're hoping to plan additional, because now the group's like 59. We have 59 people that have been through the program, and with this coming year, hopefully another 15. But we're hoping to get the alums more involved in fundraising and putting more gatherings or more halavais together to learn about new topics. And so there's a whole committee that we're putting together to be responsible for organizing fundraisers.
And if people alum aren't relating on the large scale, we know, or we can see lots of alumni relating on individual basis, whether that's building professional connections. We just, before we went on air, we were talking about two fellows from Monica's class, who one works at the Ritz and the other one is an entrepreneur for kind of tourist-based excursions, and now that gentleman has the exclusive contract at the hotel where she works. So, and that connection wouldn't have been made without Ka'ipukukui. So both are benefiting, and I would argue that visitors of Maui are also getting a better experience because of that connection.
Terrific. So I can see that you would both say this is an A+ experience. Everyone should go for it.
Absolutely.
Do it. Download the application. Turn it in. It's due on the 16th. So,
That's what, Monday?
And it's
Yeah.
not very long. It's not involved. Just be thoughtful. A few paragraphs. Everyone's done something that's harder than this application, so it's not hard.
And that website again is?
Ka'ipukukui.org.
For those of you who are a little limited on your Hawaiian, that's KAIPUKUKUI.org.
Very good.
Hey, how about that?
Yay,
Thank you so much for being here with us today, Monica. Appreciate it. And as you said, as a recent graduate, you got a long way to go, but you're ready for it now.
I do. I'm excited, and thank you so much
And
for
you've
the
got
opportunity.
lots of helpers out there.
And she's already a leader in our community.
There you go. And Dr. Lori, always a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you.
And
Thank
keep things going. I always see you on the cutting edge of things, so keep it up.
you. We do try.
Coming into the studio right now, we have our second group of people. Today is one of those days when we have a couple people from each organization. So we do a little quick change here. And this is when we're glad we're not live on the air on TV or on your computer, so you can see how we hustle in and out. But we have with us today Jeff Scharnhorst from the Pacific Cancer Foundation.
Yes.
Yes. And he's brought with him Carly Smallwood, who's a certified patient navigator, who's going to tell us a little bit about what it's like to have a navigator working with you as you go through your ordeals of illness or problems, and you're in the hospital, or not necessarily even in the hospital, right? I was watching the video that's on your website, and it was fascinating. And anybody can watch this. It's at PacificCancerFoundation.org. And they were talking about how people, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, this is a new experience for you. You've got perhaps a major illness, and it's going to take you off into different areas on different days. And so the patient navigator is there to help you be at the right place at the right time, explain to you what's going to be happening. Am I right?
Yes.
That's just to touch it.
That is a part of it. I think what's important for people to understand is that, and it's really for all of us, we don't know what we don't know until we're in a situation. And then when we're in it, we may not even really be able to comprehend the kinds of questions that we need to be asking, or what's in store for us, or the variability in the experience. And so the navigator, it's such a beautiful symbol, especially in Hawaii. You know, the idea of the traditional voyaging canoes and the navigators to be able to find the way to these far off places they were traveling to by reading signs along the way, which was the waves or the wind, the stars, the birds, those kinds of things. And so for me, the way I think of it is I would like to get to know the person and what's important to them, understand what their diagnosis and their treatment plan is, and then I feel that my job is to help anticipate what is coming ahead and try to keep the boat or the canoe on track to the final destination, which is the completion of treatment, so that people do it like on time, without missing appointments, without understanding that there may be certain days that they're really feeling poorly. And the doctors will explain, it's mostly the nurses telling them what they can expect from their treatment, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't register when somebody's telling you all this. There's information overload or something.
Well, we often call it white coat syndrome. As soon as you walk into the doctor's office, you see that white coat and you forget every single thing that you wanted to ask and that you were interested in and was concerned to you. Yep. And then as soon as the doctor says, do you understand? Is there any questions? And you go, no. And then he leaves or she leaves, and then then you're like, oh, I wanted to.
Right.
Why didn't I
ask
this question?
Or a family, they get home, and then what'd the doctor say?
Yeah. What did the doctor say about this?
And then the family's like, you don't. What do you mean you didn't ask?
Right.
That kind of thing. So a navigator can be extremely helpful in those places.
The symbolism that you were using, Carly, is fabulous, because our co-host today is Kaimana Brummel from the Hawaiian Canoe Club.
Oh, okay.
Very good. So you're right. It really can strike a chord here in Hawaii with the navigators. So you guys are kind of like the steersmen,
yes,
if you will. And the symbol is also great too, because the canoe is not one person, right? There's the patient, and there might be family in the canoe with them. And so do you work with family members as well?
With the family members as well. I mean, just recently I've started working with a really lovely a Native Hawaiian woman and a sibling of hers. They had kind of a big falling out over the course of life, but the siblings have now all come together. And this particular caregiver, the woman really who's in the caregiving position, was talking about her sensitivity of always being the one who is thought of as being really capable handling everything in a non-emotional way. And I said, and that actually doesn't recognize the part of you that's actually softer. And so, you know, you get cast into this role. And she said, oh my God, you know, you understand exactly. And I said, well, yeah, you know, and you don't want to be coming from this hard place. You want to be able to open up and be soft, and afforded the opportunity to experience that with your loved one instead of just being, you know, we have to be here, we have to be there, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that kind of thing. So, I mean, Jeff and I were talking on the way here about a lot of the things that we collect data because it's very important for us in our search for funding of our program. And a lot of the things that result from the work you can't capture in data.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the human quality, which I think is one of the reasons why I mean, I'm just really privileged to have the job that I do, because people are extremely vulnerable and they let you in, you know, and it's not that I'm seeing them at their worst time, I'm actually seeing them at their most human time. So it's really beautiful.
Do you direct a staff of volunteers that help with the patient navigation system, or?
No, right now I'm the only navigator. I'm not technically the only navigator on the island, but I'm the only like dedicated navigator for cancer patients. And I work in a small office up in the cancer center at the hospital. And so I'm dealing with not just patients who are being treated that's an outpatient clinic. Part of it's privately owned, the radiation therapy side, and then the medical oncology is owned by the hospital. But like Kaiser patients, for example, have their medical oncology at Kaiser, but they come up for radiation therapy because that's the only place on the island. So, and then sometimes there are patients who are inpatient, and you know, I'm able to work with them as well. So one of my favorite, I mean, they're all favorite, but a lady that I've been working with for a really long time, I did meet her just as she was newly diagnosed. And while she was in the hospital recovering from her surgery, they actually found a second cancer, a different kind. And so, yeah, we've had a really nice, long, you know, relationship. And some of the relationships are very simple and straightforward. It's like helping with one thing. Sometimes the people who seem like they would need a lot of assistance actually really don't. Sometimes the people who have the most resources are extremely emotionally vulnerable and need more, you know, support that way. So there's not really like you can't pigeonhole people.
So it's you think for all the information that's out there about cancer, and all the different kinds of cancer and what this means or that means, it's not until it hits you that you realize you really don't know. You may have read it, but it was just something out there.
Right.
But once it's yours, you care.
Yeah.
And you don't have any idea, and things are changing so fast in the world of medicine and cancer in specific, that you kind of look at it and you say, okay, is this the latest thing that I should be doing, or is this just the routine? You know, like I had a bout with breast cancer 35 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, back then they didn't know a whole lot about it. It was like, okay, take it all out and see what happens. And I survived, but I think I survived because it was all taken out, you know?
Yes.
But today there's so many other choices, and we're talking about breast cancer. You have several different kinds of surgeries that you can have, and I don't think I've ever read anything that said one was better than the other. It just depends on the situation.
It does. It depends on the situation and the type of cancer, the extent of it, where it's located. I mean, there's a number of different issues and factors that have to be taken into. That's why it's so important to not only get the mammogram regularly, and if you have an increased risk, that's always very important too, to make sure if you have first-degree relatives, you know, your mother, your sister, that have had breast cancer or, you know, unusual lumps, you should be guaranteed checked, and you may be at increased risk, so you should talk that over with your doctor. one of the programs that we also have in addition to patient navigation is we have a high-risk breast cancer program. We bring Terry Amata, who is a registered nurse practitioner and a breast cancer expert from Kapiolani Women and Children's in Oahu. And she comes over once to twice a month and has a clinic here that we set her up in at the hospital. And she's able to see women who may be in that category. Maybe they had a suspicious lump before, or they had a positive biopsy for, an unusual cell type or something like that. Or they may have close relatives, that may indicate that they have, it may run in the family, mothers, sisters, grandmothers, that type of thing. Or they may be, maybe they had a gene test. It's called a BRCA1 or a BRCA2. You may have heard that in the news before, BRCA1 or BRCA2, which may, and again, these are just maybes. They just kind of increase, the possibility that maybe you should be followed closer a little bit. But those are the types of things that we've noticed that sometimes, patients or family members don't know.
Right.
I think I've told the story before where I was at a health.
Can I have you hold on with the story until after we take a break?
Okay.
Here comes Pacific Source.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
Hello and welcome back. We're talking story with Jeff Scharnhorst and Carrie Smallwood about the Pacific Cancer Cancer Foundation.
Yes.
It's such a long name, but it does so much good.
Yes.
And Jeff was just about to tell us a story about.
Yes, I was at a health fair one time out at the Grand Wailea. They have a health fair there for all their employees, and we had set up a information table, and I remember one young woman come up to me and said, "Oh, Pacific Cancer Foundation." She said, "My mom had breast cancer, and so did my grandma, and so did my tutu, and my auntie too." And I said, "Wow." I said, "That's pretty rough." I said, "Have you ever been tested?" And she said, "No, why?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, I said, you got a lot of close relatives that have had breast cancer. You should probably be checked more often yourself too. Maybe." It's sort of like some of the women that meet with Terry, they'll have a mammogram, and then 6 months later they'll have an ultrasound of the breast, and then 6 months later they'll have their yearly mammogram, and they alternate like this just to watch a little closer, because there's so many treatments, like you said, nowadays. You catch things early, and they're very treatable and easily taken care of. The concern, especially here in the islands, is that people wait too long. And sometimes we've seen people, I know when I worked at the hospital before I took the job here as the executive director, I worked in the oncology department up there, and at our tumor board conferences that meet every other week, the doctors get together to discuss, how to treat the cases, and everyone's there together. And often we'd see patients like stage 3, stage 4, it's very advanced. And then they see the doctor, and we'd say, "Why did you wait so long?" And they said, "Well, because I was afraid it might be cancer."
That's a thing that just floors me. Maybe because I've had it. If I feel a lump or something changes color, like on the skin or whatever, it's like I want to know.
Yes.
And I want to know now.
Yeah, very important.
Just waiting, no, because I can't imagine what would have happened to me if we'd waited.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just pure luck finding it.
And what's true is that for patients who are waiting, they've had some kind of a screening or a biopsy done, and they're waiting for the results, the worst part is the waiting and that uncertainty where your mind, just wants to run away with you to the deepest, darkest places. So, information is knowledge, which helps make appropriate decisions. And that's one of the things we want to see people be able to do, is make appropriate, informed decisions for themselves. And what one person would decide may not be what another person would decide, and not everyone. If you had if you had two patients and they were both apples with exactly the same apple and the same cancer and the same everything, they wouldn't have the same experience at all,
right.
even if they chose the same options.
Yeah.
At what point do you connect with the patients? Is it post diagnosis? Is it during the pre-screening stage? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
For me, I'm kind of in the diagnostic and treatment phase, so I'm not really involved in screening, which is, I could be, but because I'm in the cancer center, for the most part, people are coming there because they've already been diagnosed. So one of the things that I would like to see would be more of a connection or a way for me to be notified of newly diagnosed people who are still in the hospital, that I could, like that first patient, so that I could connect with them earlier on, because then they know, at least they have a friendly face, to say, oh, someone will be there, someone knows me. And actually, I'm kind of diverging off your question, but so it's diagnosis and then through treatment and sometimes a little bit beyond treatment.
Part of my question was, someone that gets diagnosed with cancer, and then how do you get notified? Or, do they have to reach out to you? Does an oncology doctor?
The referral
if there's someone out
process.
there that maybe just has been diagnosed, how do they get your services? Or just in general, how are patients on Maui able to connect with you?
Well, that's a really good question, actually. Anybody in Maui County can access me themselves. They can self-refer and connect with me. My phone number is 243-2999, and it's appropriate to leave a detailed message, because that's my private voicemail. And so that's one way. I do get referrals from doctors and nurses, and then because I'm on site, oftentimes I'm just randomly checking in with people, or I may see someone who I'm sensing needs some additional support, and then I'll introduce myself to them.
So a lot of the people for example, in medical oncology at the hospital, the nurses, the nurse manager, the social worker, we all work in collaboration with them. So if they have a patient that perhaps has been diagnosed and started treatment, and then talking with them, they realize this person could really use an extra hand. They really could use the benefit of somebody to help navigate through the system and find them the resources that they need. That's the excellent thing about the navigator, is not that we, as the Pacific Cancer Foundation, we aren't able just to, here's some money or here's some support or here's, we don't have those things. So what we do is we provide Carly, the navigator, to say, I know where you can find the resources you need, and I can help tell you how to get there, and I can help direct you. I can sort of prime the pump. I can make calls for you. I can arrange, transportation to your doctor visit for you. I can help you figure out how to fill out those forms that are being requested by that organization, so you don't have to figure it out yourself. All these types of things, that she can do, that otherwise you as the patient, as we talked before, with no knowledge, would have to figure out all by yourself.
Right. And when time is so important in this type of work,
and
expediting.
And the emotional strain, you're just trying to focus on a few very important things, and then you have to suddenly become an expert about insurance and finances and reimbursements and medications and transportation and childcare and, money for groceries, because you had to take time off from work. All those sorts of things Carly can help with, direct the person to where those resources are.
Would you ever get asked the question of where in the world should I go?
Sometimes people do. You mean for treatment?
Yeah, for treatment. To get cured is what they want.
Right.
You know? And I mean,
Well-
we can't say that that's going to happen, but
No, and I always make very clear that I'm a lay person and I can't give medical advice, but I can ask questions like, if you went to, let's say, a big cancer center on the mainland, do you have family and friends in that area who would be able to support you? Because one of the things that we know, and it's just from experience, that people do better in their own home community because they're in a comfortable place. It's challenging to go off. I mean, patients here are sent, for example, to City of Hope when they need bone marrow transplants. And that's a very long process, and then they're living there for several months, without their extended family and friends around them. So it's posing the question, these are the things that you kind of want to think about. What resources are available to you there in terms of support? Can you get the exact same treatment here? Which for the most part, unless it's very unusual, everything is available here. So,
and I think that's something a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
They think we've got this small community here, so it can't be offering everything that some of these, as you said, cancer centers offer.
Yes.
But for the routine cancer.
Yes, for a lot of the standard of care, the doctors here are excellent. They're outstanding. They're very knowledgeable. They're very on top of things. They have all the things that they need to treat your medication. The medications, the radiation, the surgery, all those different types of things. But the benefit of the navigator, like you said, do you ever recommend where to go? Really, what the navigator is able to do is, one of the things is help you formulate those questions so that I didn't even know I could ask my doctor that question. That hadn't even occurred to me to ask that of them. So that's one of the great benefits of the patient navigation program, is to help. Really, it's not to take you out of the driver's seat, it's to help you drive, or steer the canoe in a sense yourself. We want to put the patient in a place where they feel, I'm in control. My life is not out of control. I'm not lost here. I have somebody that's assisting me to formulate a calendar and formulate a plan and formulate the questions I want to ask, and then help me follow that plan.
And in many cases, there's several different ways to get to that final decision or that final point. And so you're kind of like using this map that has 3 or 4 different routes that can be taken.
right.
And some could be off island, some were here, where it may take a little longer to go through the process, but you do have your family with you, which, as you mentioned, is a critical part in going through this.
Very important, yes.
And one of the other things I guess I just would like the listeners to know is that I really feel, because I'm working in the cancer center, I feel that it is a happy place. People are not dealing with easy things coming there, but it's happy. You walk in and people are telling jokes. There's a lot of laughter. I mean, a lot of times when I'm just sitting at my desk, because I don't have an enclosed, I'm just in a cubicle, so I can hear a lot. I'm just sitting in there smiling because people are telling funny stories, or sometimes they're sharing, very deep, meaningful conversation with each other.
Yeah, sometimes you come in and there's somebody playing a harp or singing songs or playing the guitar, or
It's not, I've had several people tell me, oh, this is so different than what I thought it was going to be. So the people who work there are very loving and very caring. It's really, we're fortunate that we have such a good facility.
It's the it's the road of it's unknown, but you hope for the best, and so you try to keep that outlook.
Yes.
Well, and there's so many other people there too that are going through similar experiences. So, a lot of times we have a support group, for example, that Pacific Cancer Foundation provides every Monday night at the Cameron Center, down at the Cameron Center right next door to the hospital and police station right there on 95 Malani. And Linda Tisar Yamamoto is a master's in family therapy, and she leads the group on Monday nights. It's 5:15 to 6:30. Open to anybody who is going through treatment or newly diagnosed or is a survivor. And they can call our number, 243-2999, and find more information about it. But a lot of times people go, well, I don't want to go there. That's going to be a bummer. Or, I got through my cancer, and, I don't want to think about that anymore, that type of thing. And so we've had people, though, that have come that are like a breast cancer survivor, and they thought, well, I'll try it. And then they get down there and they go, that's the greatest thing ever. Because there was a woman sitting next to me, who just got diagnosed, and I was able to tell them all the stuff that I'd been through and help them and encourage them and tell them it's going to be okay, and I survived, and here's what you should ask, and here's where you can find help. And they felt so useful. They felt like they kind of redeemed their experience of having cancer. Hey, look at all the stuff I learned. Now I can help somebody else. It's not just this dark thing I want to hide, and forget about. It's like I can help somebody else now. And they get such a benefit. It's like being in the cancer unit up there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm helping somebody else.
Yeah, you start to relate differently to the disease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and you said Maui County, so all residents in Maui County can access, and what's your number again?
243-2999.
It's your direct line. Great.
Yeah.
And I work Monday through Friday, and I'm there from, my posted hours are 8:30 to 4:30, and I'm in and out. So it just because you get the voicemail, it doesn't mean I'm not there, but I will return people's calls as soon as I can.
I have trouble getting hold of her because she's always on the phone talking to a patient or somebody like that. Yeah, so you just need to leave a message. You can also find us at pacificcancerfoundation.org online. And there's a lot of other services that we have that might be useful to people.
That's terrific. Carly, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Any last words you want to say to our audience?
Well, I just want to say, thank you for listening, and please, do get your regular checks and understand that they're really finding links between physical activity and diet and risk for cancer. So it doesn't mean you have to be hardcore and taking care of yourself, but just, make an effort to live a healthy life.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Come paddle.
Yeah.
Come
That's
paddle.
right,
There
come
you
paddle.
go. Thank you, Jeff. Thank
Yes,
you, Carly.
Thank you.
both, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Pacific Source, the builder's choice. If you are building or remodeling your home, please stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association mission is to provide personal and professional support to Maui's nonprofit executive directors, their organization, and the community of Maui.
And we encourage everyone to get involved by giving, advocating, or volunteering for your favorite nonprofit. Please visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of member agencies. We encourage you to get involved today. Mahalo for tuning in. Tuning. See, I can't read my writing. I should do it off the cuff. Mahalo for tuning in, and don't forget to join us again next week right here, KAOI Radio, 1110 a.m., 96.7 FM, when we'll be featuring representatives of 2 more member agencies. I'm Susie Tiemann, and
I'm Kaimana Brummel.
And thank you for joining us, and have a great week. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.